Demond. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Visual IQ. I'm also excited to be joined by our guest speaker today, Tina Moffat, who is a Senior Analyst with Forrester. It's our pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. Before we begin, I have a little bit of housekeeping. I want to let you know that we'll be recording the webinar and making it available to everyone who registered. Also, we'll be taking your questions at the end of the webinar, but you can submit them at any time, so please do send them in as you think of them using the GoToWebinar interface. We'll also be emailing you a short survey following the webinar, so please do take a moment after the webinar ends and share your feedback with us. We certainly would appreciate it. All right, let's get started. Today, we'll be taking a look at how to embrace attribution in a way that drives high-performance marketing. Tina is up first and will be offering Forrester's perspective and research on this hot topic. I'll then dive a little deeper on the concept of marketing intelligence specifically, sharing some of the best practices and requirements for a best-in-class approach that represents the evolution of attribution. Okay, Tina, are you ready to start us off?
I am ready. Thank you, Wayne.
Fantastic. Let's jump right in.
Okay, great. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm really excited to be here along with Visual IQ to talk about attribution, specifically sharing with you some best practices around attribution for future marketing success. For those of you not familiar with Forrester, we are a business market research company that work with businesses and technology leaders to develop customer-obsessed strategies that drive growth. I've been with Forrester for 5.5 years, and I cover the topic of marketing analytics, specifically attribution, marketing mix modeling, and measurement. And today I am excited to share with you three major areas. One is the current state of marketing strategy and measurement. Second is the current and future state of cross-channel attribution. And finally, we'll wrap up with some best practices to prepare for cross-channel attribution. So let's get started. So this is your customer's life. Every day they're bombarded with messages about products and services that they should be interested, but none of them are tailored to them. They see posts on Facebook from brands telling them how great their bank is or how wonderful their retailer is. They do some research on Google, but Google gives them too many choices, creating a state of analysis paralysis. And then the last minute, we recognize them. We launch into a series of marketing communications and bombard them with offers and messages that are rarely targeted to their real needs and wants. And in the end, we cannot measure and analyze anything effective. In fact, what we found was that 88% of consumers say that advertising has little or no influence on them when making purchase decisions. So marketers need to get smarter about how they're targeting and sending messages to their customers. In the age of the customer, the drivers of success change, requiring fundamental reset of the principles of the way we operate. Just like in my previous slides, how marketers become more and more or bombard customers with more and more information, marketers need to refocus their efforts to be more customer obsessed. When manufacturing, logistics, and systems were sources of competitive advantage, firms valued efficiency and maximizing outcomes with constraints. But in this new world, this new customer-obsessed world, value creativity and rapid prototyping grounded in customer needs. Some may recognize these values as the key principles of design thinking. Interestingly, none of our C-level executive interviews that we used to develop this report around customer obsession use the term design thinking. But it's clear that top executives are at customer-obsessed firms are linking arms to shift the important operating principles from customer-aware to customer-led. This means that customer-led organizations embrace more techniques like ethnography or even attribution that go beyond the what and the how of customer behavior and reveal the why by eliciting deep customer-seated needs and motivations. Second is customer-obsessed firms move from data-rich to insights driven. Most firms are swimming in data, but they're only using about a third of it. Worse, only 29% say they're good at translating the results of data and analytics into measurable business outcome. In their quest to become insights-driven, customer-obsessed firms work to master data enablement, specifically the processes and systems required to make data available, clear, and secure. Third, the customer-obsessed firms move from perfect to fast. Despite having evolved over millions of years to be cautious about new things, more people are adopting more and more product experiences more rapidly than ever before. The faster you execute, the more quickly you will win over these customers. And then finally, moving from silo to connected. Traditional command and control silo functional models can drive clear accountability and predictability, but they also drive long decision cycles, often result in competing and conflicting customer experiences. So moving from silo firm to connected enables team to stretch beyond the firm's four walls or their cubicles to the entire ecosystem internally, and then with their ecosystem of partners. So firms turn to more advanced measurement methods to gain more metric accuracy and to really drive to this customer-obsessed business model. When we asked during our wave process, what does your firm utilize in terms of why does your firm utilize marketing measurement optimization? It's because they want to create a data-driven approach to help guide budgets and to make sure they're reaching the customer at the right frequency, at the right time, and with the right message. And this is a clear indication that firms are moving less and less from more of that product-driven approach to a customer-centric approach. Assembling the right technology ecosystem is not an easy task. If it were, we'd all have one. But we recently conducted evaluations around different marketing technology systems. And we found that 46% said integrating online and offline was the biggest challenge. And this goes to show you for attribution, this continues to be a major challenge. Further, what we found through our own independent study was that data management, data sourcing, and integration of data continues to be the #1 challenge with integration, and therefore with more accurate customer-obsessed measurement. So marketers must embrace advanced performance measurement in this post-digital customer-obsessed firms. Marketers must move away from the over-reliance on the click-through rates towards embracing metrics tied more closely to cost and revenue. This involves partnering with finance during their insights and planning sessions to ensure that everyone is using the same metrics and consistently. This also means that they need to take an approach where they're using customer-driven analysis to develop customer-obsessed strategies and partnering with their not only internal partners, but their external third-party measurement vendors, along with other partners that could help them move to this new business model. So I want to dive deeper into the current and future state of measurement in terms of how we see it at this point, specifically focused on attribution. In a recent survey that we just got back, sorry about that, everybody. In a recent survey that we just received back to understand the state of customer analytics, we surveyed about 250 marketers, and when we asked marketers what type of analytics they're using, we're seeing an uptick in terms of using attribution models to measure marketing effectiveness. In fact, 52% of those who took this survey indicated that they're using attribution models for marketing effectiveness. Now, this has been such a big increase in usage over the past few years. Why? Because marketers are becoming more accountable, and because businesses are shifting to that more customer-obsessed models, where they're looking to develop personalized messagings and content, and they need the measurement foundation to help identify the best channels and tactics that they should use to engage with their customers. Techniques like cross-channel attribution have earned their place as powerful tools that B2C marketers and analytics professionals can use to measure return on marketing investment or return on ad spend. Technology innovations enable these techniques to overcome their traditional drawbacks. They are backward-looking, slow providers, are now moving to more frequency of analysis, in-campaign progress updates, strategic allocation, and used by marketing, the overall marketing staff. So these tools enable more data available in real time. As consumers continue to embrace the web, the mobile, and social media leaves a data trail that can provide new insights to marketing effectiveness. This digital data is easier to acquire and manipulate than extracting, transforming, and loading data from the diverse proprietary systems of yesterday. Second is the models are more granular. So for attribution, this means that they take user-level data to measure marketing efficiency and effectiveness that can drive more people-based marketing initiatives. So attribution also takes into account new techniques that allows marketers to become more innovative in terms of how they're giving credit across different touch points. And there's an improved speed and access to these models. You know, originally when working with data scientists, they would handcraft traditional measurement models. And now with attribution, these models are using technology to help process and run results in a more timely manner, which helps marketers develop the necessary strategies to connect with their customers. So these new approaches bring science to marketing. We're seeing more innovative approaches of using machine learning to parse out data very quickly so marketers can get a sense of how customers are responding to the campaigns and what are customer behaviors like and what really matters to them. So this new approach to marketing, this new scientific approach to marketing, enables marketers to really focus on how they can cultivate a relationship with their customer and bridge the gap between marketing initiatives to enhance customer experience. So attribution models primarily focus on trackable channels, digital being mainly one, and measures the efficacy of marketing performance at the customer level. They track interactions across digital and some direct response. This enables marketers to boost their customer-level marketing initiatives, knowing the response of specific campaigns, as well as customer demographics, psychographic, and previous behavior history. The combination of the response and the customer insights that attribution models enable help marketers tailor marketing messages across specific appropriate channels, and more importantly, help establish the right cadence and frequency of marketing initiatives to specific groups of different customers, so they're maximizing the efficiency of the campaigns while minimizing the cost of specific campaigns. So specifically, attribution models help I'm sorry, everybody. My screen has paused for some reason. Okay, here we go. So attribution models help provide a few key things, but first it helps provide a deeper customer path to purchase insights. Marketers that use attribution have a deeper understanding of how customers traverse through different touch points and identify what drives them down to the path of purchase. A major hotel company, for example, can use attribution to overlay first-party customer segments and track response of those segments, and they're able to craft the right offer, the right offer message to different travelers, analyzing how digital media affects bookings. Second is that attribution provides more precise evidence-based budget allocation. CMOs and marketing directors who have a clear sense of channel performance can optimize their budgets for specific campaigns and tactics. Evidence-based allocation gives marketers confidence to revamp last year's budget and make bolder cross-channel marketing bets. And finally, attribution helps accurate measurement, helps to accurately measure the impact of cross-channel effects. Using attribution helps marketers identify which digital channels are effectively working together. This enables marketers to identify a pool of customers and match the right mix of digital media and marketing efforts together that will push them further down the path to purchase. So now I'm going to share with you some best practices around preparing for cross-channel attribution. So best practices for measurement success entails 3 core actions: data governance, process, and flexible budgets. Data governance best practice helps marketers manage the many data sources needed for attribution success. This means marketers need to become experts in first-party customer data like transaction and CRM and marketing execution and response data, as well as third-party media data. Best practice in this area results in marketers becoming more smarter about their data sources. Another area for measurement success includes MTA process, which provides best practice on how brands can focus their attribution efforts on specific objectives and which metrics they should measure marketing success against. Finally, the last best practice area is focused on flexible budget. This best practice helps marketers identify how they can have more fluid, agile marketing budgets to activate attribution insight. So let's dive deeper into the best practice areas. So data governance, for the data governance task, the Data Governance Council collaborates with analytics groups, creates data steward positions, and establish regular check-ins to ensure data quality and management is always high. So these are some of the best practice we find leads to success in the implementation of attribution. Specifically, collaborating with the analytics group to define data governance charters and goals helps you not only to become more intimate with data as a marketer, but aligns you with your analytics professional so that they can identify which data is needed to help build or the data needed that they need to pull that needs to be implemented into the attribution model. The data steward within each channel, organization, and third-party contributor helps take inventory of the current data. So this data steward really owns and manages all of the data challenges that they may have. And the last best practice is to establish those regular check-ins with Data Governance Council at least monthly. And within these check-ins, you can set goals in terms of making new connections to new data sources, or have your measurement vendor attend these Data Governance Councils so they can share what are some of the data gaps and challenges that they've seen on pulling digital media data or other third-party data that may impact measurement and insights efforts. So within the data governance area, marketers need to be responsible to ask specific questions to the Data Governance Council. So these specific questions must be fielded by the data governance team and are really focused on the relationship and role of data within MTA solutions. The Data Governance Council fields specific questions around why types of data, or why and what types of data are needed in attribution models. How does a brand attain all this data, both from first-party internal systems and third-party data sources? what's the right process to make sure the data quality is high? Example, ensuring that we're accounting for deleting cookie level data, or we're accounting for the cookie deletion or ad viewability, and which metrics is the brand using to measure marketing effectiveness? These questions will help the brand become data experts, and they will be able to push their partners both on the measurement service providers and vendor side, and also on the agency side, about how they should be managing their data. Sorry, everybody, I was having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Another best practice is to create a MTA, multi-channel attribution dream team that will attack and track attribution efforts and manage and execute against recommendations. Specifically, this means the key MTA leader should be the primary project manager responsible for the scope focus and to ensure there's no scope creep, ensure data is accessible, and conveying the overall objective of attribution, relaying the right analysis, and making sure the recommendations are executed against. The dream team is also responsible for tracking and cataloging the recommendations to measure how the recommendations is performed against business as usual, and to ensure accountability. Finally, the dream team must develop a communication plan that shares insights either during a proof of concept situation or after a big implementation of an MTA solution. This communication plan will share the status of MTA implementation, and further will share insights from the first analysis and analysis that is ongoing. This communication continuum will bring teams together by identifying opportunities to develop cross-channel efforts and to reach new customers or engage with existing ones. So the final best practice is to establish a flexible budget structure to optimize marketing spend. So this flexible budget structure empowers marketers to make in-flight optimization changes when they notice a program may or not be working. Old rigid marketing planning process will not work in the world of multi-channel attribution and in the bigger world of a customer-obsessed, customer-led organization. So what does a flexible budget include? First, it requires alignment across functions to create a flexible budget spending pool, inclusive of budgets associated with media buying, agile methodology costs, and measurement vendors to support MTA. Second, a second best practice around flexible budget spending is to develop a use case for flexible budget spending by testing a small budget amount in a specific channel and measure the ROMI or ROAS of having a more agile, flexible spending budget. This use case and business case will help you determine whether or not flexible spending and budgets really make an incremental difference. And then finally, a best practice around flexible budget structure is to increase and decrease flexible spending where you see changes happening. For example, if you see the greatest impact in a targeted direct response email and then shifts the frequency of emails to budgets to test new offers and headings, this will enable you to determine if that shift that had occurred developed an incremental positive impact. This shift and this budget pool allows marketers to squeeze extra incremental efforts out of their attribution insights. So in summary, I want to talk about a few key points that we hit on today. Customer-obsessed companies put customers and their experience is at the center of their business. They need metrics to quantify the business results of customer obsession and to incent customer-focused decisions. But there's no magic metric here. Instead, firms must embrace approaches like attribution to measure efficiency and effectiveness, but they also must look at all financial, customer, operational, and employee metrics as well from a customer perspective. So as you're doing your MTA, keep that in mind. If your goal is to become a customer-obsessed firm, think about how your metrics and measurement strategies need to change. Further, think about how attribution can help you become more customer-obsessed. A second takeaway is that cross-channel attribution is the foundation of people-based marketing. It enables organizations to more precisely manage their marketing efforts while gaining a deeper understanding of customer and channel performance. Cross-channel attribution involves maintaining a history of all online and offline interactions that a customer has with its customers, such as direct mail or display ad or cookies or emails. It allows marketers to trace all the tactics to a single customer. Further, it helps marketers craft those customer-obsessed marketing messages so their focus is on their customer. And finally, marketers must adopt governance around, best practices around governance, MTA champions, and flexible spending. This allows marketers to quickly measure and take action against these insights. These best practices also help brands develop more proactive marketing planning rather than reactive planning based on old performance and customer behavior data. And finally, keep in mind that multi-channel attribution or any analytical effort is not a project. It requires time and energy. It requires an iterative mindset where you're always willing to change and update because your customer is always changing. So therefore, your measurement needs to be constantly changing. And with that, I am going to pass it back over to Wayne, where he will close out the presentation. Wayne?
Thank you very much, Tina. I appreciate that. While we're making the transition between slides, I just would like to remind everyone that as you think of questions, please don't hesitate to submit them using the GoToWebinar interface. Don't wait until the end. Oftentimes we have inspiration for something that we want to discover or understand better. Feel free to capture that right away and send it in. We love to deal with a nice long queue of questions at the end of the webinar. All right. Again, thank you, Tina. Great presentation. Definite, incredible food for thought there that I think is both practical and theoretical as you're considering attribution and how to make the most of it as a marketer. It's definitely a recipe for successful thinking, right, as it relates to putting attribution to work in your organization. And we're gonna dive a bit deeper into that thought as we consider sort of the real world implications and opportunities related to attribution and to the evolution of attribution, which is something we think of and we call marketing intelligence over here at Visual IQ. So what will we cover over the next 15 to 20 minutes? We're going to start with why. Any of you that are familiar with Simon Sinek and his famous start with why concept will, I think, enjoy how we kick this off. We're then going to go into how marketing is changing. You know, I think Tina touched upon that. We're going to go a little deeper as well. And then we're going to look at people-based marketing, how it is on the rise, and what are some of the success criteria associated with pulling this very complex way of going to market off. And then finally, we'll take a deeper look at marketing intelligence. We're going to define it, you know, what it is, and talk a little bit about how it can help. So let's move on. So here's our why. I think, you know, most of the people on this webinar today are marketers. And as marketers, we are driven to connect our best performing marketing with the people that matter most. Let's think about this again. We're driven to connect our best performing marketing with the people that matter most. It sounds like a very simple concept, right? It's core. It's a core motivating force of ours as marketers. But despite the advancements in marketing technology, many marketers and advertisers struggle with this. You heard Tina address this a bit in her presentation. It is not easy to do this simple, quote unquote, thing, because it's not easy to discover what your best performing marketing is. And it's often harder to discover the people that marketing should matter most to. So getting to the essence of that as a marketer is really critical to your success. So what are these next gen marketing requirements, right? We know it's a fast shifting landscape. We know that consumers interact with your brand across a dizzying number of channels, touch points, and devices, and they expect a coordinated, personalized experience. But these soaring consumer expectations have disrupted traditional marketing approaches in a major way. So I'm going to go ahead and build this slide out. As we think about the marketing landscape, and again, this isn't just our thinking. There are major analyst firms, including Luma Partners, eMarketer, Forrester's thinking certainly supports some of these thoughts and some of these trends. We see three major forces that are having a substantial impact on the marketing landscape. So first, if we take a look at the the section off to the left, this idea of convergence of ad tech and martech, and it's not that all of the platforms, all of the technology underpinning the approach are converging. We don't necessarily see all of these platforms coming together and there being one Uber platform for executing. But the idea, the approach, right, to driving unified consumer experiences, this idea that ad tech and martech are coalescing around audiences and people and using that as the driving factor and the insights associated with it, this is definitely something that we're seeing come together. The second area in the middle, this focus on identifying individual consumers, people-based marketing, right? Let's go back to the why, finding your best performing marketing and targeting it to, connecting it with the people that matter most. Well, we have to start thinking about large groups as large groups, of course, but they're large groups of individual people that you have to be relevant to, that you have to create a cohesive experience with your marketing and all its touch points. And then the third, and this is where we start to think about the idea of marketing intelligence, is this combination of audience and an audience-based view of attribution. So it's about measuring cross-channel performance by audience segment, because audiences, and again, the individuals that make them up, are what really matter at the end of the day. I think this becomes even more true as we start to think about and understand the complete journey that consumers experience as they exist in the world, as they use their devices, as they walk down the street, as they walk into retail locations. They just live their life, right? But they are seeing an experience, they are using, consuming content that is ultimately being curated by us as marketers, right? So as marketers and advertisers, we've probably all considered this journey that consumers take as they progress, right? And as they progress toward a given goal, hopefully, that we have for them, they experience multiple media touch points, hopefully leading up to a specific KPI, right? Which could be online conversion, offline conversion, brand engagement goal, whatever it may be. There are many goals that we're driving people to. And then some of these touch points, if we look at this chart, are what we call addressable. You can see that there are offline, digital, cross-device. non-addressable and addressable elements that are represented on this particular chart. So for addressable, we sort of think of this and define it, and certainly the industry does, that for a fact that a user has been exposed to that thing. The other elements are non-addressable. So media like TV, radio, print, outdoor, things like that. So understanding what's working and how to assemble the correct mix of tactics in a world with digital, cross-device, and offline components, this remains one of the biggest challenges that marketers now face, right? And they need the kind of marketing intelligence that reduces the complexity of this puzzle. It's absolutely vital that for our success as marketers that we reduce this complexity, right? However, when we think about this journey, we know that consumers don't envision themselves engaged in a customer journey. They don't care how you've set up your marketing automation workflow. They don't care what you're willing to pay for retargeting ads, that you have a robust affiliate network, for example, that use social analytics to monitor their comments. At the end of the day, they just want you to act like you understand them. And I think that's our challenge as marketers, is to be able to consume data, get insights from data that are actionable, that will enable us to make great decisions, to discover our highest performing marketing and put it in front of the people, ultimately the audiences that matter most. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So it's really interesting, this data. 56% of consumers say they feel more loyal to brands who get them, right? This is interesting, but it's also, in some respects, it is obvious, right? 56% of consumers say they feel more loyal to brands who get them and show a deep understanding of their priorities and preferences. So consumers are simply seeking products and services that meet their needs. They want their buying experiences to be relevant, convenient, and friction-free. And what's more, they want you to know them and they want you to earn their loyalty, right? A people-based marketing approach enabled by marketing intelligence can be what makes this possible. So let's take a look at people-based marketing for a bit and take a look at some of the success criteria here. Ultimately, this drive to really know and understand individual consumers, it's led to the rise of people-based marketing approaches. I think we all understand this. And while we believe this is absolutely the right way to think about marketing and media and advertising, there are several requirements, several success criteria that you should keep in mind as you formulate your own strategy. Let's go ahead and build this slide out. So as you think about people-based marketing, it's absolutely vital that you understand the idea of consumers, which is the audience, and performance. So obviously, the game has changed with regard to people-based marketing. And to be successful, marketers need to target individuals in the real world. And you must have an audience-centric view of marketing and media performance. You need the ability to combine the profile data that you have about customers and prospects, things like who they are, what they're like, what they want, where they are, with marketing performance data, things that are related to the consumer experience, right? Things like the creative, the offer, return on ad spend, cost per acquisition, frequency, cross-channel reach, and there are many more. So that you can provide a consolidated view of the consumer and every marketing interaction leading up to a given success criteria, whatever that may be. It could be engagement, could be conversion, could be an in-store visit. So when you combine the power of audience or an audience-based view into performance, which is audience with attribution, in this single real-time view, and I can't stress enough that the view, your marketing intelligence view, has to be real-time. It has to have extreme actionability. Things that refresh, models that refresh only infrequently, monthly, quarterly, weekly, it's just not fast enough. We're all real-time marketers, and our tools and the things that drive us need to be real-time as well. So if you do have this power, right, of audience with attribution in its real-time view, you can understand consumer attributes and how different audiences interact with your brand across channels and devices. And you can optimize budgets and create the types of relevant and personalized experiences that drive meaningful business results for you as a marketer. And this becomes a powerful enabler of super efficient, very high performance, people-based marketing, which is what it's all about for us as marketers. So unfortunately, we as marketers, we have a lot of catching up to do. You know, look at this stat. Just 6% of marketers worldwide say they have an adequate single view of customers or prospects across all devices and touch points, despite 90% citing it as a top priority. So at the end of the day, we all want marketing intelligence. We all want the ability to find to discover our highest performance marketing and view that through an audience-centric lens, right? And connect that high performance marketing with the people that matter most. But very few of us are actually doing that today. Very few of us are taking that comprehensive marketing intelligence-based approach to go and execute on people-based marketing, which is where, you know, we're all driving. And again, the good news here is that with the right marketing intelligence solution, you can make very big progress against this goal. So let's take a look at marketing intelligence and let's attempt to define it. You know, we like to think when we consider the idea of marketing intelligence that we have the opportunity to bring extreme clarity to what is an extraordinarily chaotic environment filled with disparate data. And sometimes, you know, data is a wonderful thing, but too much of it that is organized in a way that is not helpful, that is not organized with the proper lens, it does lead to chaos. And we know that marketers are balancing a very sort of chaotic view of lots of disparate data that is, you know, information, but not intelligence. And certainly driving to that is an opportunity. So just to sort of hammer home, you know, this idea of marketing intelligence, it is about the powerful combination of audience and attribution. And if you combine, right, by combining the power of audience with attribution in a single view, you get marketing intelligence. This powerful combination lets you understand consumer attributes and how different audiences interact with your brand across channels and devices when they're on that journey through addressable and non-addressable media, right? And you'll be able to optimize your budgets and create the types of relevant and personalized consumer experiences that drive the business results you're looking for. You know, we all know that marketing is under the microscope, right? We spend, you know, a good deal of our corporate budgets, and there's a lot of people scrutinizing those budgets to make sure that you're doing the right thing, that you are driving revenue, that you're being extraordinarily efficient. So the time to adopt a marketing intelligence strategy and use the powerful combination of audience and attribution, the time is certainly now. Go ahead and build this slide out as well. So again, the opportunity here is to unify consumer understanding and tactical performance. So marketing intelligence gives you this unified view into prospects, but not just prospects, but also customers, right? And that enables you to do a variety of things. You can find and target the audiences that are most relevant to you. You can understand how consumers, both prospects and customers, interact with your brand across channels and devices. You can measure marketing and advertising performance based on the unique profiles of your customers and prospects. You can optimize media budgets and consumer experiences to deliver meaningful business results. And most importantly, all in one real-time view. And, in many respects, this idea is a holy grail concept for marketers, being able to view things in this way. So, what is the challenge for brands? Marketers need the ability to combine the profile data they have about their customers and prospects, who they are, what they like, what they want, where they are, things like that, with marketing performance data. And they want that provided in a consolidated view of the consumer and every marketing interaction leading up to those success criteria. So, if you look at this slide, that lower piece in green there, things like brand engagement, in-store sales, online conversions, and there are dozens of others, right? And you can track their journey to those success criteria, to those KPIs across mobile, digital, television, addressable and non-addressable media, right? And the idea here is that when brands do understand consumer attributes and how these different audiences interact with their brand, they can optimize budgets and create the relevant experiences. By the way, these relevant experiences that marketers desperately try to create, that's what consumers crave. They want that. We saw that data. Almost 60% said, hey, I'm not going to deal with a brand unless they deal with me like they know me. But to create these relevant experiences that drive meaningful business results at the end of the day. So, if we were to sum it up, to be successful, brands require this idea of real-time marketing intelligence. So if you consider visual IQ, it's really vital to understand the influence that all of your marketing, whether it be paid, owned, or earned, these channels or tactics within channels has on a given success criteria. And this has to be delivered with actionability and timeliness, right? If the intelligence you're operating with isn't delivered in real time, like your marketing is delivered in real time, then it's not really allowing you to maximize your impact and your ROI. And we know as marketers that, again, we're under that microscope. We have to maximize our impact. We have to show a return. Visual IQ is an opportunity, has the opportunity to deliver this in a single platform. And it provides this real-time view of audience-centric performance. And at the end of the day, again, we go back to this concept. Why do we exist as marketers? What's our core driver? And marketing intelligence, in both conceptual terms and in practical terms, delivered by a platform that provides a single view, a single real-time view, is these things allow us, again, to connect our best performing marketing with the people that matter most in real time. And this actionability and timeliness of data are vital elements if you're considering attribution, or how we like to think of it, the evolution of attribution, which is marketing intelligence. With that, I'd like to encourage anybody that has registered for the webinar, if you haven't already, go to our download center at visualiq.com. We've produced a pretty helpful ebook filled with stats and deeper information around the idea of people-based marketing and the intelligence that you need from a systems and data perspective and a process perspective to go and actually achieve that. On that site, on that section of the site, there are dozens of other useful, helpful pieces of content. There's some content there from Forrester as well that's available for download. should you want to dig deeper. Also, if you're interested in in seeing marketing intelligence, firsthand, you can also request a demo of our platform right from multiple pages on our website, and we certainly encourage that. So Tina, we have concluded, and we are moving on to the Q&A portion of the webinar. I'm going to go ahead and drill into. Bear with me. Drill into the questions. As we see, as the questions come in, we'll give it a moment. And Tina, I don't know if you've gone on mute, but are you still there at this moment?
I am still here.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the Q&A. It looks like we've got about 7 or 8 minutes to get through as many of these as we possibly can. Okay, let's find some here. Tina, I think this one looks like a good one for you. This question comes from John. John asks, for the data governance best practice, which is something obviously that you referred to in your presentation, Tina, what are some specific data quality suggestions marketers can ask their measurement vendor or data steward to ensure that gaps and issues are addressed?
Sure. So I think that advertisers and marketers/advertisers really need to take onus of the third-party media data. And that requires understanding where data is stored and coming from. And once they do that, and once data is coming in, you need to intelligently ask questions about the raw data coming in and about the metrics that are derived from the data sources, whether it be from a publisher or the social nets or directly from the ad servers. So in terms of data quality, they could ask questions like, what percentage of the cookies or the identifiable customers that we do have from the data sources, they've deleted certain timestamps, right? If they have a series of cookies and then all of a sudden it's been deleted, there's been kind of a deletion of the cookies. That's number one. Number two is what percentage of my digital media has been viewed versus what percentage hasn't. Another question is there in terms of metrics calculation, right? So a lot of times you may get cost data or other derived metrics from the platforms that you need to include in your attribution model. So you want to ask questions like, how is a certain metric derived? What are the components of the metric? Is it inclusive of all customers, or did you segment a certain population within that metric calculation? What does it include or not include? So things like that. So be very inquisitive about the data sources. Don't be afraid to poke around and prod and ask questions, even if you feel the questions are maybe obvious to some but not to you, or if they're kind of complex questions, because it enables you to become more of a data steward and more familiar with your data, which is critically important for more accurate measurement.
Fantastic. Tina, we've got another one that I think would be great for you to offer your unbiased perspective on. This question comes from Lauren, and Lauren asks, what recommendations do you have around testing that your attribution model is actually working?
Yeah, so I'm a really big fan of testing. I think testing in general needs to be a part of the overall marketing strategy and measurement toolkit. Testing within for your attribution model requires, I think, you to do, there's two different types of tests, right? You test whether or not the model is stable, and your measurement provider periodically run those types of tests. So they're kind of like goodness of fit tests. So there's that type of testing, and you work with your measurement provider to make sure that they're running those types of tests and to see if there's any variation in algorithms and things like that. And then there's a second type of testing, which is how do I know the recommendations are accurate? The best way to test that is through in-market tests. And this has a lot to do with flexibility of budget. So for example, if your attribution model recommends that you invest X amount of dollars with this certain publisher, I would take a portion of that budget to invest with the publisher and withhold the other portion of the budget and do kind of a budgetary test to determine that if the effect of the results based on the attributed recommendations, I think is a good way to do it. So do those in-market tests around the recommendations. I wouldn't recommend looking at your attribution recommendations from your solutions and saying, okay, we need to full hog move all of our budget based on these recommendations. Do the tests to make sure that they're valid and they kind of make sense. And also, kind of have a balance of what the model is telling you and what you know about your customers and how certain channels and tactics have performed, and what you fundamentally know by them, because there are fundamental marketing there are marketing fundamentals that don't change, right? And I think you need to balance that with the recommendations and testing to determine if the model is successful.
Fantastic. I think we are definitely running short on time. We probably have time for probably maybe one or two more questions. I've got one here that relates specifically to marketing intelligence, so I'll take that one, Tina. This question comes from Samantha, and she asks, what are some of the insights that a user can extract from marketing intelligence that's not available today from I guess from other approaches? I think as we think about marketing intelligence, there are a variety of important questions that a marketing intelligence-based approach can help you answer. Things like, how am I reaching my customers and prospects, and are they responding differently to my marketing tactics? Again, viewed through the lens of those audiences that represent customers and prospects. Other things to think about are, what are the most effective experiences to show my customers and prospects across channels and devices. And when they think experience, again, it's that journey that they're on, right? What are the elements that we should be exposing them to? Again, I do feel a little bit like a broken record, but again, it's viewed through the lens of audience-centric or audience-based performance. You can think about which emails, affiliates, videos, display placement, search keywords, are working best for different audience segments. And I did see there was one question that came in that said, hey, why real time? Are marketers, changing their budgets that frequently? And I think, there are many tactics that depend on real-time decision-making and real-time shifts of spending. Search is a really, really big one. And, understanding how keywords are playing to audience segments in real time can help you adjust your actions as a marketer in that, with that equivalent real-time response. So real time has a big role to play. Okay, let's take 1 more minute and do one more. Let's see here. I think this one is for you, Tina. This one's from Nate. And Nate asks, so for flexible budget structure, what percentage of typical budgets are deemed flexible? What are they used for?
Yeah, that's a great question. We hear various answers to this. I was just talking to an advertiser, and I said, it's recommended that you have 15 to 30% of budget flexible, and we've heard that these numbers being thrown around numerous times, anecdotally, by the way, not driven by survey data or any type of data point. But this particular advertiser told us, they're very lucky they only have certain things locked down in through pre-buys that they may have done or contracts with their agencies, but they're given autonomy from their CMO to shift budgets. So I think in short, the answer is minimum 15 to 30% budget flexibility. And in terms of focusing what you should do with that budget flex dollars, it's innovation, right? So if you're not in if there's a new and innovative way to connect with customers, definitely use some of those flexible dollars to connect with them in those new and innovative channels and tactics. It's testing a new kind of segment that you're reaching to, testing to a new audience. It's promotion of new products, maybe frequency of campaigns. So those are some of the ideas for testing, but I would say the number one would be new and innovative ways to connect with customers should be used for flexible spending as well.
Thanks very much, Tina. And with that, we're a little bit past the top of the hour. We're going to bring this webinar to a close. Tina, I'd like to thank you very much for being our guest during today's webinar. And I'd like to thank everyone who took the time to attend and ask questions and learn from this content. We certainly want to let you know that we'll be coming out with other engaging webinar topics. So watch your email for additional invites to these webinars. And on behalf of everyone at Visual IQ, thanks very much for attending today's webinar. Goodbye.